What's going on, everybody? Hello and welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. Thank you for joining us on this Friday, February 11th of 2022. Before we get into any of the nitty-gritty of the show, as always, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars if you are on Spotify or iTunes. And as always, spread the word of mouth. One of the strongest things you could do is continue to share this show, tell your friends about this show, and it will exponentially grow that way. So that is of utter importance to what I do here and to your listening pleasure and to have me continuing doing this. So yeah, keep that up. Socials, search the Alex Cuesta Show anywhere you can find social media. Excuse me. And you'll find me there. And yeah, just all that good jazz. I hope everyone had a good last day of their week heading into the weekend. I hope everyone has some good plans for the weekend. And if your plans include doing absolutely nothing, there is a point in time in your life where absolutely nothing is fantastic. Some of the best plans you can have for the weekend. So enjoy those. Enjoy those weekends. They don't come very much. We are going to start off our show as we do now often. We are doing the Biden COVID tracker. Yes, we are. So let's go right into it. As of yesterday, cases stood at 77,188,396. Deaths stood at 911,072. As of today, the cases are up to 77,357,504. That's an uptick of 104,863. And deaths are up to 914,333. That's an uptick of 2,097. So positive news. We are close to being under 100,000 cases. If that becomes a trend where we can start dipping underneath that, that's a positive thing. That is good. And that's another decline day. We're closer to being at 2,000. Getting underneath there is important. Starting to see a big decline is important. We need to see a trend out of this. And, eventually we can continue to call this a success, even though the CDC, even though Joe Biden does not want you to think of this as a success. As Omicron waning, they're telling you to wait for the next variant, wait for it, just be scared of it. And, keep masking up, even though their own party, the Democrat Party, their governors are starting to say, no, we're done with this here. We're done with this here. They know elections are important and they know they'll lose if they keep up the masks. And they also know that the masks don't do anything. So the charade is done and the trend is positive there. We're still, 100,000 cases is still a lot. 2,000 people dead is still a lot. It's a lot of death. But it is getting better. Have faith. If anything, I use this tracker to hold Joe Biden to account because, again, the man campaigned on eradicating the virus. Now he's saying, let's live with the new normal. He's an abject failure at mostly everything that he does, including his COVID-19 handling. So this is to keep him to account. But also, I'm not unwilling to celebrate positive trends. If we continue to see a downtick, it wasn't a few days ago that I was saying 300,000 cases and almost 4,000 deaths, high 3,000s. Now we're in the low 2,000s, low 100,000s in cases. It's a positive trend. I'm not against having a positive trend. I'm not attributing it to Joe Biden positively because I think you would get this trend naturally out of a virus. I don't think anything Joe Biden has done has been effective in a positive way. I don't know if there's anything anybody could have really done that it's been effective in a positive way outside of really working hard on treatments, which I'm not going to get into, but there have been a lot of treatments discouraged. And I think that's a financial thing. I think that once Pfizer and Moderna, there's some shady shit going on there, just putting it that way. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on that. But we're going to get into some fun stuff now. Before I get into the main article, I want to talk on a few that I enjoyed really quickly before I start reading away. First one that is super interesting. It is an article from phys.org, so science. Catalyst turns carbon dioxide into gasoline 1,000 times more efficiently. So essentially, this article synopsis, if you want to go find it, again, it's phys.org. That's the headline. It's written by Andrew Myers. It was written yesterday. Essentially, carbon capturing has become a big thing where they can basically, as carbon emits from any sort of energy. They have a technology that they built that can capture the carbon out of the air, won't let it get into the atmosphere. And they're now figuring out ways to turn that into different things. Take that carbon capture, cycle it back to a catalyst, and make up long change of carbon and hydrogen. And it's getting some badass results, like really cool. Like they said, gasoline, butane. It's the longest hydrocarbon that could be produced under maximum pressure. They're getting butane out of it. That's really cool. And they have a whole bunch of other catalysts. They have a different catalyst that does a little bit different things. It's a lot of sciencey stuff that I couldn't explain, but all in all, it's worth the read. And it is really cool. Now, again, I am not against trying to improve our energy. I'm not against trying to do less to the environment. That is not something that I'm against. I don't believe that man-made climate change is as dire as they say. I don't think that, we have as much of an effect as they say we do, especially us in the United States when China and India exist and they don't care. That's about, a quarter of our population, maybe less, but still a lot of our population lives in those two and they don't give a shit about what they do for the environment. So what we do in the West, Europe and United States and Canada and stuff like that is a drop. We're very good at being efficient. They are not. But overall, this is cool stuff that gives me hope, because if they refuse to go to nuclear because they're fucking stupid and they're playing politics with that, at least they can build up new technologies like this. And if this is successful, you're now taking a ton of carbon out of the air, which again, we'll see what the negative effects are. Because once you play God with things like this, it's not easy. Taking a bunch of carbon dioxide out of the air might seem good at first. We'll see what it does to the ozone and the greenhouse gases up there. If you believe in all that, if you believe in the ratio and all that stuff, we're trying to go net zero. We're trying to do no emissions. So we'll see what that does. If you believe in that type of balance, then what does taking it all away do? We'll find out. But this is a cool technology. And if this can be successful and they can mass produce this, really, really cool stuff. So read this article. It has a lot of science jargon. Some of it's not easy to understand because it's way above my intelligence level. But just the base fact that we have a cool technology like this is pretty fucking awesome. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, go read that. Now, a few more articles before I jump into the main one. One from CNN. The one I'm going to read is from CNN, but this is about a poll. Now, I looked at the poll numbers. I looked at the stuff. It's actually a pretty fair poll. It had, I think it was 1,500 people were done in the poll. It's mostly online, a web poll, and web polls aren't fantastic. I think only like 100, almost 200 people were called. So the results are a little skewed because people, I think it's been shown people don't take the online polls as seriously with their answers. But the poll itself is weighted pretty well. I think it was 30% Democrats, 31% Republicans, and then 39 independent or something else. So it's a pretty good ratio of answers there. And now, essentially, it's talking about confidence in elections. And the main headline is that we lack confidence in what the elections are. 56% of respondents have little to no confidence that American elections reflect the will of the people. That's up from 52% in September and 40% in January. So as we go through the absolutely terrible Joe Biden presidency, we're seeing that we have an inept guy and that the will of the people, and I think this is also Democrats turning on him saying, hey, motherfucker, I voted for you to do X, Y, and Z, and you're a corpse. You don't do anything. What's going on? We were promised all this. And of course, the Republicans are going to be like, no, he's a douchebag. He doesn't reflect anything that we want. The poll goes to a whole lot of January 6th stuff too. They keep on calling it attack because they're stupid. They say riot once, which is a proper term. They call it an attack, an attack, an attack. The January 6th stuff is what it is. A lot of it shows that as time wanes on, people are starting to realize that January 6th isn't the Holocaust, isn't Pearl Harbor, isn't all the atrocities that they try to make it out to be. It was just some fucking morons rioting. It looked terrible. I didn't like it. A lot was wrong about it. Trump took way too goddamn long to get out and say, hey, go the fuck home. But overall, what they're showing is that people don't care about January 6th. Honestly, the panel, the congressional committee, people don't care about it. It's waning less and less. the committee's taking forever. They're trying to drag this out. The goal is to drag this out and then hopefully drag out, what you're going to see from the committee is that they are going to continue to subpoena, drag it out. Come mid-October, they're going to try and get up all their damning stuff that they found, which, if what we've seen in the past, they are going to have absolutely nothing, but they're going to mark it up. They're going to word it up. They're going to legalize it, and it is going to sound terrible. And come mid-October, they are going to start handing out petty indictments over things that actually have nothing to do with the riots against minor people associated with Donald Trump, and maybe try and catch one big fish in there. And none of it's going to stick. Mind you, anything that they do from this probably isn't going to stick outside of the actual crimes done where people should be persecuted. But a lot of this stuff is not going to stick, especially if they try to do anything to Donald Trump. Not going to stick. I can guarantee that. They suck at what they do there, especially the people in this committee. They're not good at their jobs. They're not good politicians, terrible statesmen. So it's probably not going to stick. But what they're going to know, and what they do know about the American populace, especially come election time, is it doesn't have to stick. It doesn't have to be legitimate. Just look at the impeachments. Neither one of them were legitimate, but a very skewed House, a very, very Democrat heavy House, impeached the president twice, and then it got shot down by the Senate properly, but they impeached him twice. And, now it sticks. He's the twice impeached president, which he isn't twice impeached, because in order to fully be impeached, the Senate needs to hold it up. So it's just, that's what they're trying to do here with the attacks thing. They talk about the bottom with Joe Biden, with the legitimacy of the victory and tampering. It was even up on the left that they think that his legitimacy isn't there. So you can read this article if you're interested in seeing the poll numbers. You can actually link up to the poll. If you go on there, a new CNN poll is in blue. You can click on it and actually look at the poll itself. The way it was conducted was pretty good. I give them credit. It's a fair poll. The questions are kind of skewed. But with the numbers that they got, it was always going to go a partisan way. So pretty fair poll from CNN, a random act of decency from them. So you get that. The next article I really want to talk about before I get into reading is Joe Biden sat down with an interview with Lester Holt, NBC News, and man, he's a moron. So he already signaled to Russia once, we're not gonna go put boots on the ground against you. If you do quote unquote minor skirmishes or do proxies, or essentially gave Putin the green light, go ahead, take some land if you want, take a few things. Just don't be too loud about it. We're not going to go to war with you. Now he's taking it a next step. He's repeating Afghanistan, essentially, saying American citizens should leave now. We're not going to send troops in to save you if you don't leave. So people that are there, that maybe have worked there, that maybe lived there, have jobs there, are doing important things there, because it's an extremely corrupt nation. And there's Americans there acting either in negatives, trying to benefit off that corruption or trying to improve the corruption. Get out of there. And then the best quote to me, it's hilarious because the man's tone deaf and stupid. Quote, "It's not like we're dealing with the terrorist organization. We're dealing with one of the largest armies in the world. It's a very different situation. Things could go crazy quickly." Are you fucking serious? Do you think we forgot about Afghanistan, you idiot? It's not like we're dealing with the terrorist organization. You didn't do a good job there with the Taliban. And it can go crazy quickly. I think it deteriorated pretty quick in Afghanistan with your awful pullout. And this isn't even a pullout. He's telling American citizens that you're on your own. Get out now. I'm assuming they can go to the embassy and they can get help getting out of there, that they probably aren't going to have to foot the bill themselves completely. But just how stupid he is. He's just not an intelligent person. He was never smart. Joe Biden was always a racist idiot. Now he's just completely an idiot because he's lost most of it. He talked about indoor mask mandates. They're just going to trust the CDC. I touched on that. It's completely stupid. They're, again, out of touch. He's fracturing his own party by not going with the science here, that masks don't do a goddamn thing. And then he mentioned the Supreme Court. He's going to choose a black woman, blah, 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 blah. He said he's not looking to make an ideological choice. Yeah, I don't take him at that word. And then they touched on Build Back Better, trying to renegotiate with Joe Manchin. We don't want Marxism here. We don't want your World Economic Forum shit here. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere either. So that was the interview. If you want to go, NBC News has the article. Biden warns Americans in Ukraine to leave, saying sending troops to evacuate would be world war, which he's not wrong, but just, man, that's a wrong message to send. We're not willing to put boots on the ground in Ukraine for our own American people. Think of that. I understand when people are like, oh, we don't want to fight over Ukraine, but now we won't even go fight over American lives. I rest at that. So let's get into the real article I want to talk about. Well, not real article, but the main article of the day. Again, it's a CNN business article. The title is "To Fight Inflation, the Fed May Resort to a Tool It Hasn't Used Since 2000" by Matt Egan. Let me just tell you right now, Matt Egan's in trouble. He's in trouble. He wrote this yesterday, February 10th, 2022. You can't say this. You can't write this article. We've been told inflation's now a good thing. We were first told it's not happening. Then it's transitory. Now it's okay. Maybe this is a shift that we're acknowledging that Joe Biden doesn't have any idea what he's doing in any way, including domestically with the economy. We were just told that the economy is a success a few weeks ago. And now this article comes out about inflation. Really, really, really bad. Not going to lie. So let's get into the article. Red hot inflation is raising pressure on the Federal Reserve to take drastic action to get control of prices. James Bullard, the president of the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank, told Bloomberg News Thursday that he has become dramatically more hawkish and now supports raising interest rates by a full percentage point by July 1st. Wow. They first talked about, so this is not the article, this is me, but they first talked about for the longest time, they were absolutely going to raise from the zero level of interest rates in 2023. That was a done deal. Then earlier this year, as the supply chain issues became worse and worse, the Fed put out like, yeah, we're going to definitely do it in 2022. We're going to try and get this in order, try and get supply chains. Now, by July 1st, which indicates they have 3 meetings before this, that they have to throw increases in each of the 3 meetings. It's pretty big here. Let's get into the implications. Let's go. Given that there are only 3 Fed meetings before then, that implies the Fed would have to raise interest rates by 0.5 percentage point in a single meeting, instead of the more typical 0.25 percentage point moves. The Fed hasn't executed a 0.5 point rate hike since 2000. That's a big deal, everybody. That's 22 years ago. They haven't done something like this since 22 years ago. They didn't do it during the Great Recession. That's a big deal. Big deal. That they're now thinking of, instead of gradually moving it up by 1/4, which is the traditional way, they're going to go a whole 0.5 percentage point because we need to inject some sort of life in this economy because inflation is that bad. Let's keep going. Investors are now pricing in at a 99% chance that the Fed raises interest rates by 50 basis points in March, according to the CME Group's FedWatch tool, up just 24% on Wednesday, up from just 24% on Wednesday. In fact, markets are now pricing in a very tiny chance of a 0.75 of a percentage point hike in March. Whoa! Here's the thing. If you don't pay attention to the Fed Bank and what they do, I don't blame you. Probably boring shit. I don't pay attention to it too much, but this caught my eye. Whenever places are doing things out of the norm and essentially to an extreme, that should trigger you, especially when it has to do with money and the economy. The fact that they're even saying it could be a 0.75 percentage hike is a huge deal. That means we're in bad. That we are in bad. That there are markets and people putting into the market now thinking that we need that much of a drastic action in order to even attempt to get inflation under control. It's that out of control. Let's keep going. The shift comes after a new report showed consumer prices soared by 7.5% in January, the fastest 12-month gain since 1982. Not only that, inflation unexpectedly accelerated month over month. So, wow, again, we're now looking at 40 years ago. This is the worst we've seen in a 12-month gain since 40 years ago. And it soared to 7.5%. We have a 7.5% increase in how much we pay for things, the common American. And then that last part, unexpectedly accelerated month over month. Joe Biden has done nothing to fix the supply chain. Nothing. He hasn't helped. He's a slave to unions. So if the Teamsters union and whatever union wants to do what they want to do over at the ports, he's not going to stop it. And believe me, they're not helping the situation either. They're going to get theirs. And if they think they're working too hard and that they're not getting enough overtime, they're going to sit down. They don't give a shit. They don't care. I'm going to look up right now. Boats, ships left on Cali coast. Let's see if they have a number. Block ships on stranded off the coast. Chance to port further. I don't have a number right now. That's all in 2021. I don't have a number right now of how many's been blocked, but the numbers have been large as of last year. And I don't see if there's a number right now. I can't find the number on it, but maybe I'll look that up and I'll bring that up next time. But there's been a lot of ships waiting. And places like Walmart, Amazon that can afford have been sending their own private boats out to their own shipping containers to bring back their supply because no one's doing their job well out there. No one's helping these ports that got so backed up out of there. So it's a big deal. And unexpected acceleration of month over month. How is it unexpected? How are you guys not doing your job and really looking at this? If you can't expect this, common Americans expected something like this when you paid attention and realized that all of our products are sitting out in coast of California. Let's keep going. Quote, the risks are growing. The risks are growing for a 50 basis point rate hike, unquote. Alexander Lin, U.S. economist at Bank of America, told CNN on Thursday. None of this is sitting well with the stock market. The Dow fell 425 points or 1.2% on Thursday, hitting session lows following Bullard's comments. And I'm going to update you on that because today is Friday. It fell another 1.43 points today, 503.53 points. That's almost 1,000 points in 2 days. That's really bad, especially when you're telling us that the economy is going good. It's going great. Everything's going according to plan. This is not according to plan. Yes, the stock market isn't everything, but inflation is a big factor in how good your economy is going to be and is. And I think their goal is a 2% for inflation. So we are skyrocketing above that right now. Let's keep on going. The fact that investors, Fed officials, and Wall Street banks are even contemplating such an aggressive rate hike is telling. Just a few months ago, the debate was whether the Fed would raise rates 2 or 3 times this year. Now there was a growing sense in March alone will amount to a double hike. So again, they are panicking in the Fed. The Fed officials are panicking. Investors are panicking. Wall Street is panicking. Everyone sees the writing on the wall that something has to get done drastic because the policies aren't doing it. Washington isn't helping. It's not going well. So the Fed needs to try and do something to cover Joe Biden's ass. Because the Fed has stated their goal. Their goal is always to have the economy at least neutral come election time so it can be as fair of an election as possible. Obviously, this last November was an extenuating circumstance. I'm not going to blame the Fed for that. They put themselves down at zero. They did everything they could to try and help consumers that were hurting and out of jobs because of COVID and the lockdowns and all the bullshit. So their normal goal is to get it to kind of be at even. They are scrambling. There's not a lot of time before November in the midterms. Let's keep going here. Peter Bukvar, chief investment officer at Bleakley Advisory Group, told CNN it would be weird to have consumer prices rising by 7.5%, and the Fed's initial response would be to be just a small rate hike. Quote, if you want to get back control of your credibility and your reputation, you should be more inclined to raise 50 than 25, Bukvar said, which it seems like they're inclined to do. He's right. He's not wrong. It seems like they are very much inclined to raise it to 50. Usually when all the talking heads do something like this and say it needs to be done, usually it gets done because the Fed, these guys, the chair and all the chairs of the separate banks, they don't want egg on their face. They don't want to be the reason why something went wrong. Keep going here. Bank of America has been calling for 7 rate hikes this year, implying a 1/4 point move at each meeting starting in March. But after Thursday's gloomy inflation report, Lynn said a more aggressive step may be needed to get inflation under wraps. Well, yet you think? And a 1/4 point per year is a lot. Now, a 1/4 point per month is a lot. In 7 months, you're getting up to 2% inflation, 2% interest. You're at 1.75 just in 7 months. That's a pretty pretty big hike. It's gradual, but it's a big hike. You might get a good chunk of the way there just in March with a 50-point hike. Quote, the goal is to engineer a soft landing in the economy, Lynn said. That means pushing back on the economy, just enough to get growth below where they think the trend is. At the same time, the Fed wants to avoid raising interest rates so aggressively that it panics investors now accustomed to rock bottom rates. Quote, the Fed doesn't want a surprise market, Lynn said. The Fed likes for things to be fully priced in. And that's the article. So what do we take out of this? The money people are panicking about our economy. The people that look at the money, that look at the trends, that look at the economy every single day are panicking. So don't believe when you see the oh man, we're doing great. Biden's plan is working. We have so many jobs, 6 million jobs made, strongest ever. Participation rate is really going well. Things aren't going well. They are not going well right now for the economy. We can all see it. We're not dumb. Gas prices still suck. You see supermarkets have empty shelves in spots that were always full. It's not great. It's not great. The 2-day drop is not good in the Dow, almost 1,000 points in 2 days. About almost 3 percentage points in 2 days. It's not good. It's not good. So things aren't going well. Things are not going well, but we'll see. Hopefully, cross my fingers it starts to turn around because that affects me. Joe Biden being a shitty president, having terrible policy, and the Fed having to scramble to bail him out affects all of us. It affects me, affects you. So as much as I think Biden's an idiot, I don't want him to fail completely because him failing completely really hurts me. So I don't know. There's a lot to digest in there. I suggest going and reading the article yourself. Keep an eye on the stock market. That is an indicator, especially with the inflation, with the way it's going, with prices the way they're going. Investors respond to those types of things. If it's a direct response to Fed chatter and reports coming out, that's when the stock market's a decent indicator. So go take a look at that. Take a look at the article. It's an interesting article, and just keep your eyes peeled about what the Fed's going to do. Because if we get a 50 basis point or a 75 basis point hike, getting loans on houses now is going to be more difficult. It's going to be harder. The rates aren't going to be as good. The rates on everything aren't going to be as good, but it's necessary. It's necessary to get things back under control. So let's see how it goes. We can only hope for the best from here. We can only hope that I don't know what we can hope from the White House. We can't hope for much in the White House in any way, shape, or form. Joe Biden just doesn't make good decisions, starting with Kamala, and all the way, everything he's done since. So, I don't know. Let's just hope that. I don't know. Let's just hope things get better. That's it. That's all we can hope for. So that's a happy note to go into the weekend. Yay! I appreciate everybody for listening, getting to this point. If you like what you hear, as always, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Tell the world, tell your friends you like this show. I pick interesting articles. If you ever have any articles you want me to do for the day, send them to me. I'll read them. If I like them, I'll do them. So send me some stuff. I'm always searching for interesting articles that I can break down, I could talk about. Socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show. You'll find us on anywhere you can find the social. And have fun this weekend. Be safe, everybody. And look forward to Positivity Monday coming up. Won't be so doom and gloom to start your week. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. See everybody on Monday.